you, everybody. I'm happy to see, a good, robust crowd in these employee engagement discussions. I think I was discussing with a few people prior to this session that really I think it's an evolution in energy management. We've moved from the equipment side, where we're really focused on efficiencies and put in new air compressor, variable speed air compressor, save a bunch of energy, call it good, to now we're more moving into energy management. How do we harness the effectiveness of the people within your organization? So I really think it's a movement throughout the United States, and I'm happy to see that this conference is holding true as well. So today I'm going to talk about basically the tools to build an employee engagement framework within your business. I'm going to talk about three in particular areas. Really, how can we promote awareness of energy waste and inefficiency? So promoting energy waste, that's a key one. How do we get people to know? What tools can we work with to inform people, to help them better understand really what's happening around them, so they're more apt to stop the energy waste? And really the key is, how can we make energy visible? Because we all know here it's a concept that is hard to wrap your head around, especially it's hard for us, and we're in the energy field. Never mind people that aren't in the energy field. Okay, so just a little background about WEEC. We're an energy efficiency consulting firm. We've been around for over 30 years. We're most notably known, for many of you in the room who don't know us, for operating implementation programs in Vermont, Efficiency Vermont, where we're our biggest program. We also operate a program in Washington, D.C., the D.C. Sustainable Energy Utility, and one small program in Ohio called Efficiency Smart. But plus we have a consultancy firm, leg of the business that does program design and implementation throughout the United States and across the world. It's not only program design, but also implementation in states like, right now we're working with some customers in New York implementing a strategic energy management program. So, our fingers are in a lot of pies. But this talk comes from my experiences working with Efficiency Vermont customers, mostly industrial customers. So who here has heard this from either a counterpart within your facility? Maybe you've thought this yourself because you are the facility manager. This is so true. Okay, the facility manager in a lot of facilities pays the bills, is responsible for energy, but yet there are so many people, all other individuals within their facility, have the responsibility and no accountability to turn on a motor, to leave lights on when they leave a conference room. So I think this is really where the thought process behind creating some tools for employee engagement came about, because the facility manager, who I've dealt with a lot, being a key account manager for Efficiency Vermont, they're just throwing up their hands. How can I influence the rest of the staff here at the facility when really I'm the only one who is accountable? So really, this brings about an opportunity, not only a challenge. We like to claim challenges as opportunities. An energy savings opportunity, but it's a waste for the customer, but it's an opportunity for an energy efficiency program, because that's potentially a project we can implement with them and reap savings, not only for the customer, but for the energy efficiency program. So, really, it falls to really, how can we build a partnership to help build trust in that relationship and allow them to work with them to build tools to help engage their workforce in not only energy efficiency and energy, but also just general awareness of systems and processes within their facility. But, as you can, so the next question is, where do I start? Okay, a lot of communications, posting on communication boards, how many people actually look at the communication boards in facilities. You know, they fall in disrepair over time if you're not maintaining them readily. So really, businesses need to kind of partner with an individual within their organization to really take responsibility of those communication boards. But as we all know, for many of the multinational companies that are in this room, you know, even for one facility within your group, one size doesn't really fit all. So really, similar strategies even at one facility and another are completely designed differently to really match the types of people at that facility. And really, the responsibility a lot of times for creating communication boards also often falls to a kind of a junior staff that really has maybe some time on their hands. Hey, go fix up that communication board. So it's difficult to really make those communication boards successful without a lot of thought, and a lot of planning that go into them. All right, so what we used to do or we still do with Efficiency Vermont, working with our customers, and now what we're doing in other programs as well, is, you know, we'll sit down with the energy manager or the facility manager. We'll sit down, go through things over the course of a day, but then we'll leave, okay? And the next day, I'll call up the customer and say, so how's it going? Have you been working on your energy efficiency action plan and your employee engagement action plan? And he's like, you know, just other priorities came up during the day, and, you know, I didn't get into it. It was great. We had a lot of good thought when you were here, but really taking that next step was just challenging for the customers. So what we did at Efficiency Vermont and VEIC is we put together kind of a leave behind, an employee engagement toolkit, and that's what this is. So I'm going to go through this, and I encourage everyone afterwards to come up and just look at the items in the toolkit. I'll talk about them, but just look at them just to get a good feel for it, because I really think it could apply to many of the facilities and programs if there's programs in the room. Quick show of hands, is there any energy efficiency program staff, or is this all just facility managers and consultant firms? So company representative, raise your hand. Okay, consultants, raise your hand. Energy efficiency programs. Oh, good. That's more than I thought. Super. So this could apply. So the inspiration for the toolkit comes from that mail delivery service that God, I'm forgetting the name of one of. Blue Apron. Yeah, Blue Apron. That's the one. It was actually Blue Apron, but then you mentioned another one. So this is where the inspiration came from. You come home from a tough day at work, you throw your jacket on the couch, and you have the responsibility for making dinner for the family, and you open up the fridge, and all you see is a box full of vegetables from your local CSA and nothing to go with it. Or then you see this box, this nicely wrapped box with all the ingredients you need to make a beautifully crafted meal with even a recipe. Which one are you going to head towards? I mean, you're going to head for the Blue Apron box and make your meal. So that's really where the inspiration came from, is we really wanted to leave behind tools for the facility manager or the energy manager, I'm just calling it facility manager in this case, that he could take that next step, or he or she can take that next step that following day to really craft their energy program. So basically inside the kit are 5 main elements. Okay, so there's training and awareness pieces, basically talk cards. So one element is, and actually I'll hold it up, one element is talk cards. So most industrial facilities have shift turnover meetings. And in those shift turnover meetings, they talk about the Holy Grail. They talk about safety, quality, and production. Now, what we're asking is, let's talk about safety, quality, production, and energy. Just for 5 minutes, or not, maybe it's only 2 minutes in those shift turnover meetings. And we're going to give you the topics to talk about, whether they be lighting, what's the percentage of compressed air lost through leaks. It's a question you can ask the team. And then we even give the answer. So you can have a discussion. So what we're trying to do is allow people to start thinking about the processes and the systems that they're interacting with every day. We also have posters. While they're small, these could be made bigger, that just you can put on energy boards or post around the facility in different locations. Then we have, it's not a lot of space up here, opportunity tags. So these opportunity tags are for when you find a leak or an opportunity for something fixed, something's broken, or some energy waste. Write up what the opportunity might be, check off the list, turn it off, tune it up, fix leaks, date it, write your name, and then you can actually tear it off and submit it to your facility communications director, maybe, that is keeping track of them, just to make sure you don't keep track of them. These are good, so when you're walking with maybe someone around the facility the following day, you can say, see, I found that opportunity right there, and it just logs it for them. I'll show that last. And then I guess the recipe inside is actually, this is a playbook, basically. It talks about the different ways you can build different strategies to building a communication board, different strategies to engaging your employees. And I encourage you to look at this a little bit later just to see all the different topics in here. And then we also have stickers in here you can put on equipment. Don't shut this piece of equipment off, or leave this, or turn this equipment down when you're in e-stop mode. Because what we found is employees are paralyzed sometimes for turning equipment off, because God forbid they turn it off and it breaks a process when they go home at night. So they want to leave things running. So if you get in the habit of labeling the things that you don't want shut off, the accepted practice should be to shut everything off when you leave the workstation or you leave at night. So that could build a sense of, all right, this is the way this facility operates. And then, of course, this was mentioned many times before, and I think Craig mentioned it, recognition. Even thank you cards are in the box. Full service. So it's fairly comprehensive. Can you take that? Thank you very much. But we got a lot of good feedback, because once again, we work with a facility, or you work with one of your facilities, and then you leave. That person needs to take responsibility in the next step to build their employee engagement program. It all just can't be done during that one sit down. So this is a picture of all the contents, not really that amazing of a slide, but that's what it looks like inside. So the next thing I really wanted to talk about, that was one tool. The next tool I really wanted to talk about, and it has been talked about plenty here, is the treasure hunt. But this is a different spin on a treasure hunt that we like to do up in Vermont. And they're called sleeping plant tours. It's essentially a treasure hunt, but this treasure hunt is done when no product is being produced at the facility. And sometimes that can't happen, so you want to do it in as much of a downtime as possible. So typically it's a Sunday, especially if it's operating 5 days a week. Maybe it's a 7-day a week, but Sundays are slower. So you want to basically go in when no one else is there and start looking around, asking questions. It's just really great to do without telling the staff that you're going to be doing it on a Sunday, and then when everyone leaves on a Friday, then you can get the true state of how people leave their workstations, conference rooms, offices, everything. Computers on, lights on, air compressor running, at 120 psi. You can hear the leaks because no processes are running. So it's a really eyes-open experience. And really, you walk around, just like everyone has been stating, asking questions. Why is this running? Why is this on? Why do you do it this way? And this is really, one thing, I will put a plug in for the treasure hunt style of opportunity identification. It's really great when you can get other facilities to join in the treasure hunt. So if you're one facility and you have a friend down the street at another facility, ask them to come in, because to get someone from a different facility looking at a new process, that's when all the questions start to come out. Why do you do it this way? This isn't the way we do it, and we're right down the street. That's when, and facility managers or process operators need to answer. And sometimes the act of answering causes them to realize that, yeah, maybe it shouldn't be operating that way. Because most things have just been that way for the duration they've worked there, so they just accept it as fact. But these sleeping plant tours are really an amazing event. And we usually come out with a good, at least 1%, 2%, 3% of savings that we found within the facility, and just that one day. And then we usually have a treasure hunt for the 2 following days after the sleeping plant tour. So the last thing really I want to talk about is the third tool, and could be one of the most important, I think, in today's day and age, is energy management information systems. So who here is familiar with EMIS, or Energy Management Information Systems? Okay, a small percentage. So we've heard a lot about, great presentation today, talking about building automation systems, building them from the ground up. This is a step beyond just straight building automation, watching your process, looking at process flows. So this is basically normalized energy use that you're tracking. So if you can see, on the bottom, there's a green line and a blue line. And the blue line, squiggly line on the bottom, is basically the actual electric usage. And the green line is basically a modeled estimate of what electric usage should be. So basically what you do is, it's a regression model. You use 2 years of baseline data, and every point after today, let's say we use 2 years of baseline data history to build that model. Basically now you're predicting what you're going to use the following day based upon energy drivers such as weather is one important component, production in an industrial facility, and there's other drivers too within facilities, but let's just use those 2 for now. So weather and production. So based on how much production I'm going to produce today and the weather outside, I can predict what tomorrow will show I used today. So basically you're predicting and you're trying to beat your prediction. And what that line going up diagonally is, it's the Q sum of savings. So every time that green or that blue electric actual usage beats the green line, is lower than the green line, it's basically you're accumulating savings. So basically you're using less than what you predicted you'd use. So the key here that I want to point out is, you see all the inflection points in that red line. So this is based on 15-minute interval data, so there's a lot of granularity here. Basically those inflection points are when something changed. So if the red line goes steeper up, that means something changed for the better. So if that happens, you look at that the following day and you say, what happened for the better? Walk around the facility, see what changed, because you want to reproduce that. Okay, that is something very important. And then there's some inflection points that go back down the other way. That means something bad is happening. It's basically you're not saving as much as you were yesterday. So go around, maybe there's a compressed air leak. Maybe someone left a process running overnight. So basically the facility is using more energy than it was yesterday, so you're not saving as much. This is a great tool for facilities to have live, or at least within the operators, facility operators PC at least. We've worked with some facilities to have it live on a dashboard out within a hall within their facility for everyone to walk by and ask questions. And the other thing, the reason it's an employee engagement talk that I'm having is because you see all those vertical beige bars. Those are events that were basically tagged in this model that something happened within the facility, whether it was they cleaned the air handler filters, or they tuned the chiller, or they found a compressed air leak. So any big ones, let's see if we can find one. Basically, you see that the second thick beige bar going up, basically right after that, there's a steep step change that went to higher savings because it was a steeper slope. What that does is that reinforces on what you did the day before actually worked. So it's important to show this to the employees within that were responsible or actually helped out with that fix, whether it was tuning a chiller, and say, look what you just did. Now you're helping the facility save X amount of dollars a day because we cleaned that chiller. It's phenomenal reinforcement tool because they could actually see with their own eyes how it's affecting their energy. So I can talk to as many people as you come and talk to me afterwards. I'd love to talk about it. So really, this is my last slide, and I said it in the beginning, and it seems like it's happening, but we need to shift our attention away from equipment, not completely, because it's still important. We still need to be installing new and efficient equipment. But we really need to shift that focus to more the role of the people and how they can take control of that next level of energy savings. All these tools and all this effort, it's a big resource cost, both in the people's time and the tools to build these tools, like EMIS, let's just say. But it's a greater cost for maybe the program or the facility, but really the benefits will really eclipse the investments easily, thus really proving their value. So I think that's all I got. So any questions from me? Yeah.
The toolkit, does it change based on the company you're in? You may have one company that has multiple facilities, everyone does something different. Do you create something specific for each individual plant, or do you create one and change everyone's way of doing things so it's all the same?
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's really generic. So really, it doesn't talk about specific ways. It talks about suggestions for options. So you can do it this way, or you can do it another way. But really, you have to tailor it to the facility. But really what it is it's a catalyst to help that thinking process for the person responsible for creating that energy management program within the facility. So it's a seed, basically. Yes?
Has the toolkit been tailored to different sectors? You know, right now we're talking about industrial setting, but I'm thinking this could be student, faculty engagement at universities or colleges.
I agree with you. It has not. It's mostly been focused on the industrial facilities, but basically a lot of the tactics for the communication boards and stuff would probably remain the same. The things that would most likely change are the posters, because really those posters are, you can read them after everyone's finished. They're really aimed for an industrial facility in the talk, keep everyone moving. Energy efficiency starts with you. Well, I guess that one could, but yeah, I think they would need to be tailored slightly, but I don't think it would be too much of an effort. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.